So last one that I'm going to work through this evening, and you see that it definitely looks a little bit different. Hopefully when you looked at this equation, you see that that SO4, we know what that is. We know that that's sulfate and a polyatomic ion. We also see NO2, which should also jump out at us as a polyatomic ion. And what's unique about this in this reaction is you see the SO4 is on the left, and then there's also an SO4 on the right. And the same thing with the NO2. NO2 on the right, NO2 on the left. So when I'm counting my atoms, I'm actually going to count that NO2 as one whole ion. I'm not going to separate it out into nitrogen and oxygen. And the same thing on the sulfate. I'm going to leave the SO4 alone. I'm not going to separate that out into sulfur and oxygen. So let's start by counting our atoms. We see that we have 2 hydrogens on the left. So let's write that in. There's only one sulfate ion here. And how do I know that? Because there's no coefficient here. So one sulfate ion, one sodium, and then one nitrite. And again, I know that because there's an understood coefficient of 1 here. On the right-hand side, I see that I have 1 hydrogen. Again, I only have 1 sulfate ion. Keep in mind that that 2 right there only goes with the sodium. So we still only have 1 sulfate ion, but we have 2 sodiums. And again, we only have 1 nitrite ion. So let's take a look and see what we can do to balance this out. I see 2 hydrogens on the left, 1 on the right, which means there's going to have to be a 2 go here. That's the only possible way that I can get 2 hydrogens on this side. So when I put the 2 there, that coefficient, the number of atoms changes to 2 hydrogens. But when you put that 2 there, my nitrites also change. So now down here, I actually have 2 nitrite ions. Okay, sulfates are still balanced. My sodiums are not balanced. So let's go ahead and put a 2 here to get us to 2 sodium atoms. Well, look what happens. Now that I have 2 sodiums, I also have 2 nitrites. And so that's going to become a 2. Now when I look across, everything is balanced. You've got 2 hydrogens on each side, 1 sulfate on each side, 2 sodiums on each side, and 2 nitrites on each side. And guys, we're going to do a lot more practice with this, so please do not get overwhelmed by it. Work back through the tutorials, look at YouTube, and do the best you can. And we'll talk more on Monday and Tuesday. Have a good one.